Chapter 5, Ashes and the Flame of Life. Light after the darkness. As they stepped out of the dungeon, the morning light tore through the sky, pouring down upon the worn faces of the survivors. Marcus led the way, not as a commander basking in the glory of victory, but as a man who had just shed the chains of illusion and deceit. On the hilltop of Troia, once a Roman frontier outpost, only ashes remained. The wind swept the cinders across the air, painting a silver-gray canvas. Each person stood in silence. No cheers, no praise. Because they knew what lay ahead was more than glory. It was life, waiting to be rebuilt from the ruins. Ruins not forgotten. They descended the hill and returned to the frontier town, now nothing but rubble. Homes that once echoed with the laughter of children lay charred. Statues that once honored the gods were shattered, buried in dust. Marcus paused before the burned foundation of a house. He knelt, picking up a small bracelet, the only thing that remained among the wreckage. In his eyes, there was no regret, only a silent vow. This place will not be forgotten, even if only ashes remain. They are the ashes of memory. Faces of the fallen. Night fell. A campfire flickered in the crumbled square. Marcus sat alone, gazing into the flame without speaking. In the firelight, faces began to appear. Titus, Gaius, even his own younger self. They did not blame him. They did not weep. They were simply there, like pieces of memory that refused to fade. The wind howled through the broken stone, whispering, "Your duty is not yet done." Marcus gripped his sword, not to fight, but to remember who he was. A song for the fallen. Beneath a star-strewn sky, the soldiers stood in a circle around Titus's simple grave. No name, no stone, just wildflowers and a sword thrust into the earth. Marcus raised his torch and began an ancient song, a farewell not meant for glory, but for remembrance. No one joined in, yet everyone was still. His voice, hoarse and cracked, echoed into the night, like the heartbeat of an empire at rest. Passing the flame. By the fire, Marcus handed his sword to a young warrior, a boy who had once survived the frontier, now standing tall in the ranks. "From now on, Rome is in your hands," he said, not as a command, but as a gesture of trust. The boy received the sword with both hands, his eyes steady with resolve. In that moment, no one thought of war. They thought of light, the kind that must be passed down, guarded by generations willing to keep it with their very soul. The final moments of comrades. One by one they fell. Gaius, the loudest laugh among them, all now motionless in the mud. Quintus, with a broken arm, still held his shield high to protect his comrades. Each death was like a candle extinguished, yet also a fire blazing fiercely in the hearts of those still alive. Marcus shouted through the storm, "Do not let them die in vain." Marcus faces the Gothic warlord. Amid the raging storm, Marcus stood face to face with the Gothic warlord, a towering warrior tattooed and fierce, wielding a deadly axe. They exchanged no words. Both knew this was more than a battle. Every strike of their weapons was a question. Who still holds onto their soul? Marcus falls. A fatal strike. The warlord's axe cut deep, not just into flesh, but through the years of belief, duty, and sacrifice. Marcus fell to his knees, blood mingling with rain in the cold earth. But he did not close his eyes. There was no panic, no regret. He looked up at the sky, where the first sliver of light pierced through the black clouds. In that final breath, he did not think of Rome's glory. He thought of Titus's laughter, of Quintus's broken shield, of a child's bracelet found in the ruins. And in his heart, there remained one last thing, a flame, not to destroy, but to illuminate the path forward for those yet to walk it. Figu remain. The Gothic forces withdrew, not defeated, but because there was nothing left to conquer. The surviving Romans stood soaked in rain, blood, and mud, silent without cheers. Then they knelt, not in surrender, but in remembrance. A makeshift monument rose from broken stones, no name inscribed, only a sword driven into the ground where Marcus fell. The final story. Years later, the children who had been saved from the massacre would gather around the fire, telling tales of a man no one quite remembered. They called him the Keeper of the Flame. No portrait remained, no statue endured, but his name lived on, in every story, in every glance that burned with quiet reverence. His name was Marcus, not remembered as a conqueror, but as a seed, small, humble, yet enough to begin again. And from that seed, a new Rome was reborn, not of blood and steel, but of memory, of resolve, and of a flame passed down from one heart to the next. From ashes, the flame lives on.